Hello, everyone. I just want to make sure you all can hear me. So if you can just type in the comment section if you're able to hear me, I would really appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and start. My name is Sudha, and today I'm going to be talking to you about public speaking and what are some of the pitfalls or the mistakes that we commonly make and how we can overcome those mistakes. So before I get into the talk, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Hope the new year brings you all lots of good luck and gives you everything that you wish for. So before I get into the topic, I want to give a brief introduction on what communication is and why communication is important for us. Communication, as such, is like a backbone for our existence. We need to be able to communicate with each other. We need to be able to communicate with our friends, our family, people at work, and we should be able to express ourselves, our thoughts, our opinions, our feelings. So it's really important for us to be able to communicate. And the other thing that communication will help us is it will help us to connect with people. You can make friends by talking about your opinions, your thoughts, and you can get to know people by talking to them. You'll understand more about the society and the thought process and perceptions of people by communicating. So it's really important to feel comfortable communicating with each other. And the second thing is, if you communicate, you can educate people. For example, if you're giving a talk on a topic, you're sharing your input and your thoughts and your experience with other people, sort of like what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to you about public speaking, some things that I have learned over the years, how it has helped me. So I'm giving a talk and I'm hoping that some of you will benefit by it or you will learn something from it. So communication will help us to educate people, and it will also help to motivate each other. So if people are talking about their experiences or their educational background or how they went about getting a degree or how they went about their job search, it will motivate others. People will think, okay, there are other people who have done this and I can also do this. So it'll motivate people. Now, one of the things that bothers a lot of people, including myself, is speech anxiety, like having this fear of standing in front of an audience and giving a talk. And it's a very common thing. It's a very real thing. It's not something that we think of it in our heads or it's something wrong with you. It's a very common phenomena, and a lot of people go through it. And public speaking, the fear, the anxiety, the hesitation, the lack of self-confidence, they're all very common. And before I talk about how you can overcome that and what are some of the mistakes we make and how we can correct them, I want to say, I want to address one thing. So one of the main reasons for this fear or for this anxiety or for this hesitation is because we all have a fear of how the society or how the people perceive us. What do others think of us? What if I make a fool of myself in front of these people? What if they don't agree with what I am saying? What if I'm not good enough? Right? So we live in a society where we give a lot of importance to the perceptions of other people. And I also want to say really quick, if you have any questions, if there's anything specific that you want to ask me, just type it in the comment section and I will try to answer that as I go along. Okay? So I'm going to get to that. Somebody just asked how to overcome the fear of being judged while you're speaking in public. So the first reason that I want to point out is that we all have this fear of not being accepted by the society or the people, and we fear that we are not good enough, right? Let me give you an example. Not even like in terms of public speaking or speaking in front of an audience. So let's assume you all are on social media. You have Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and let's say you post something, you write something on a Facebook post or a WhatsApp group chat, and if a lot of people accept what you're saying, if you get a lot of likes and comments on your post, it'll make you feel good about yourself. You're like, oh, everybody's agreeing with me, everybody likes what I'm saying, and that helps you to be more confident about yourself. And there's nothing wrong in that, because we all want to feel good about ourselves. We all want people to like us. We all want people to agree with what our opinions are, and it makes us feel good. So one of the main reasons for having this fear is you think you're being judged. So the first step is to get rid of that thought process, because you need to feel good about yourself. You need to be confident about yourself. The audience is not there to judge you, but they are there to learn from what you are going to say. Okay, the audience is there. Just think of it this way: the audience is there to listen to you, to get something out of you. They want to learn about what you have to say. Right? So, and don't keep thinking that I'm being judged, they're going to dislike me, and all of that negative thoughts. So, one of the things about overcoming this fear and this feeling of being judged in front of public while giving a talk is to keep talking. Right? The only way you can fix this problem is if you just keep talking to people, right? So practice makes perfect. So the first couple of times when you stand in front of an audience and give a talk, you may not be good enough. You may make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from that. And then the next time you give a talk, perhaps you can improve on what mistakes you made. And one of the things that can that also helps you when you give a talk on a certain topic is that you are also learning something about that topic, right? For example, if you have to learn something and explain it to somebody else and make them understand what you're saying, then you need to know the topic really well to be able to explain it and make others understand. So you will also personally get better at the topic that you're going to give a talk on. So one of the things that you can practice to overcome this fear of speaking in front of an audience is, if you have a group of friends, very informal, you can have discussions and talks within the group of your friends, right? And one of the things that you can talk about, instead of picking a topic which is very serious, you can pick a very fun topic and then practice talking about it. One of the things that I really like to do is, if you read a book or if you watch a movie, you write reviews about a movie or a book. And I'm sure you all watch movies and you read reviews about a movie before you go to watch a movie, right? So if you have paid attention to how a review is written, like they don't just say it's a good movie, go and watch it, or it's a bad movie, don't see it. They just kind of give reasons as to why it is good, why it is bad. So giving a talk is also something like that. So when you write a movie review, you've kind of given an introduction on, okay, who are the actors, who is the director, and what is the storyline, and what is good about it, and what is bad about it. So have a group of friends and give a discussion or give a talk on a movie that you watched, and explain to them why you like it or why you don't like it. And while you're doing that, try to organize it, like start with what the actors are, what the directors are, and what the storyline is, and then what you like about it and what you don't like about it. So it's a fun way to practice your English. It's a fun way to stand in front of a group of people and give a talk, and it will help you to improve your English. It'll help you to overcome the fear of speaking in front of an audience. And it will also help you to, like if you have a discussion and if people ask you questions, it'll help you to kind of stand on your feet and answer a question. Like you cannot prepare for all the questions that you're going to get. Sometimes there may be a question that you don't know the answer, but you should be able to say something about it. So it'll help you to practice all of those things. And to speak good English, it is really important to read a lot, right? You have to be able to develop a habit of reading. Whatever, it doesn't have to be a book. It can be a newspaper, it can be a Facebook post, or it can be a magazine, or anything that interests you. Start reading it, and while you're reading it, if you come across words that you don't understand or you don't know how to use, make a note of that and go back and try to understand what that word means and what context it is used. So that's one of the ways to develop your English and your vocabulary, not just reading, but paying attention to words that are new to you, paying attention to words that you don't understand the meaning, and making an effort to understand what it means and how it is used. And the next time you are having a conversation with someone, try to use those words. And that way you will remember them better, and that way you will also feel good about yourself, like, okay, I have learned something new and I know how to use it. So have practice talks and have group discussions with people that you are comfortable with, like your classmates or friends, or any other group that you feel comfortable with. And maybe you can try the idea of, I said, like, talk about a movie review. Like if you've seen a movie and you really like it, try to explain to a small group of people in English, and stand and talk about it like you're giving a talk, and see how you feel about it. And again, yeah, so there's a question about the audience, and that's my next point. So the first thing is to practice. Like you can get better at public speaking by practicing, and by giving talks to people who you feel comfortable with initially, so that you are not like too nervous. And the second point is always important to understand who your audience are. Okay, so you need to know before you give a talk to what kind of group you're giving a talk to, right? Because it's important to analyze or prepare your talk based on the audience that you're giving your talk to, right? For example, I work in a research lab, and if I have to give a talk on what my research is to my professors, I prepare my talk in a certain way. But if I have to go to a high school and talk to the high school students about what my research is or what my talk is, I have to prepare a different talk. Like I cannot give the same talk that I gave to my professors to high school students, because they will not understand half the things that I'm talking about. If I start talking using big scientific terms and all complex pathways to these high school kids who are just learning the basics in science and biology, they're not going to understand a thing that I'm going to say. So I need to prepare my talk according to the audience. And how can you one of the other ways to do this is you can give a same talk to different groups of people and then see how they are reacting, right? You get feedback from the audience based on the questions they are asking. You always look at the audience when you're giving a talk and see, are they engaged, or are they listening to what I'm saying, or are they distracted, or are they paying attention to what I'm saying? And also the other thing that you can do is you can try to engage the audience in your talks. Like for example, right now, instead of me just talking about what I want to talk, I asked you guys to post any questions that you have in the comment section. So that also helps me to talk about things that you want to know rather than just me saying things that I think are important, right? So try to engage the audience in your talk, and based on the questions that our audience are asking, you can improve the talk accordingly. Like maybe there are some points that the audience want to know that you didn't cover in your topic. So the next time you give the talk, you include those topics in there. And the level of complexity, like if you're talking to a group of college students, you need to prepare the talk in a certain way. But if you're talking to a group of professors and professionals, you prepare your talk in a certain way. So you need to have an idea of who your audience are and accordingly prepare for that. And there are two questions. One is how you can remove hesitation and how you can improve sentence structure. So for both of those questions, the answer is to practice. Okay, so it is very important that you practice your talk couple of times before you actually stand and give it in front of an audience. So the way to practice is you can do it by yourself. The way I do it is I sit and talk, and I record myself. Like we all have cell phones now, where you can record yourself. So I give a talk and I record myself, and then I go back and watch it and see where I can improve, or where I'm having trouble forming a certain sentence, or where I'm having trouble explaining myself, or where I am pausing and all that. So the first thing to do is to practice. And you will have hesitation when you are not sure about what you're talking, and when you feel that you're not 100% prepared, right? So that's one of the main reasons for hesitation. If you feel that you have prepared enough, you know enough, and you have practiced it enough, you will not have that hesitation. So practice a lot. I practice at least 3 to 4 times before I give a talk, and sometimes I'll have the exact sentences, like not the exact sentence, but I know like on this part, this is what I'm going to talk. This is how I'm going to say it. And sometimes I even write down, like I write down the sentences that I want to say, or the points that I want to cover. So you need to really practice, and you need to watch yourself giving the talk, and then see where you're lacking and where you can improve. And also, going back to the question of audience and how you gauge the audience, always when you're giving a talk, you want people to get something out of that talk, right? So have like 3 or 4 main points, and then say that if not anything else, I want the audience to know A, B, and C at the end of my talk. These are the 3 points that I want to convey in my talk, and try to focus on that, on those 3 points. Right. And the other thing that will help you to organize your talks and get better at your talks is timing, right? You need to know how much time you have for your talk. Let's say if there's like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour, you need to plan accordingly, and you need to practice your talk and see that, okay, I can finish it in 10 minutes or I can finish it in 30 minutes. So know your audience and interact with your audience. If the audience asks questions, learn from that and see how you can improve your talk the next time. And if there is feedback, work on it, and practice your talks at least a couple of times. Record yourself giving the talk, watch yourself speaking, and see where you can improve, or how you can get better. Give the practice talk to your friends or a group that you feel comfortable with, and see what their feedback is. And if you practice a lot, and if you know your talk really well, you will feel good about it, and you will not be hesitating. And also I want to point out here, don't expect perfection, right? If you want it to be perfect and if you just want to be flawless, there's nothing like that. There will always be one or two things that go wrong. There will always be some pitfalls, and that's okay, right? You don't stand up and say, I'm just going to give the most perfect talk ever. There's nothing like that. So you do your best, and you just stand up there and you have fun, right? That's the most important thing. So when you're talking about a topic that you are passionate about and that you really enjoy, and you're just having a good time talking, explaining, and interacting with the audience, you will not have the hesitation, you will not have the nervousness. And if one or two things go wrong, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? Sometimes there will be a question that you don't know how to answer, and there's nothing wrong in saying, that's a really good question, but I'm not sure what the answer is, or I don't know how to answer that. And you can go back and look it up and understand what it is, and the next time you give the talk, you answer the question the next time. So don't expect perfection, and have fun and prepare yourself, right? If you prepare and if you know the time that you need to talk, and practice your talk so that you can finish it in the given time, and if you have fun with it, you'll do good. The other thing that I want to mention is always make eye contact with the audience, right? When you're giving a talk, don't look here, there, or at the podium or at the PowerPoint or the screen, but make eye contact with the audience. That's really important. And also try to avoid some of these mannerisms that we all have, like where we like use the pointer, like you're like doing the pointer all over the screen, or you're like touching your face or having your hands in your pocket or walking up and down. Like try to avoid all of those distracting mannerisms. And again, when you practice your talks, right, you will get to see that you're doing all of those things and you can correct yourself. So one of the ways to correct that is again by practicing and watching yourself actually give the talk. And also have like a very strong, okay. So there's a question of so there's a question about what if you're in a group and some people are too friendly. Let me read the question. What if someone is speaking in a group of students and he's not sure how to behave? So when you're teaching in a group, right, you will have different kinds of people. Some people are too vocal about their opinions, and some people are very shy and they don't want to open up. So you need to have a kind of a balance where you're not listening to one person a lot and then the other person doesn't have a chance to say what they want to say. So one of the things that you can do before you start a group discussion is to kind of lay the ground rules ahead of time and say that you're going to cover this topic and you're going to talk about this, and at the end of it everybody will have a chance to ask their questions. So it's kind of like up to the moderator or the person who is conducting the group discussion to just be firm about what the guidelines are, and just say that at the end of the discussion we'll have a time for questions, and just try to make them understand that they need to wait for their turn to speak. So it's kind of difficult, but sometimes you have to be firm. You need to just kind of put your foot down and say, this is how I'm going to do it. And again, we don't have to be rude, but you can be strict about it, like without being impolite. So if everyone wants to start discussing how to task. So, so one of the questions was, how can we handle the audience if they are not behaving well, right? So again, it depends. So again, it is important to understand who your audience are before you start giving your talk. I'll give you a personal example. So one time I went to a group of middle school students. These kids are, middle school is like they're in 6th, 7th or 8th grades. So I had to go and talk to those students about the importance of writing, right? So just like we are talking about how it is important to speak English, I went and talked to them about how it is equally important to be able to write in English. So these are kids in 6th, 7th or 8th grade, and they just are not motivated enough to write. So I went there to talk to them about the importance of writing. So so they're like 11, 12-year-old kids. And the minute I stood up and started talking, they were all still making their noise and nobody was paying attention. The teacher was trying to calm them down. So I just decided that I'm going to talk to them about something else. Like, I'm going to talk to them about writing, but I'm just going to change my plan. So I started talking to them about a blog, like a food blog that I was writing. So I started talking to them about how I write food recipes, and how I like to cook and how I like to write about cooking and all that. So then somehow that caught their attention, and they just stopped making their noise and they started listening to me. So after like 10 or 15 minutes of me engaging them in that, I just went on to talk about what exactly I wanted to talk to them about. So it is really important to have a backup plan sometimes when you're giving a talk, and it will help you to have a backup plan if you know exactly who your audience are. So in this case, I knew that I was going to go and talk to kids who are preteens or teenagers. They are probably not going to be wanting to listen to me talking about how it's important to write, how they should practice writing, how they should read, and how they should improve their vocabulary and all that. So I thought about it like, what else can I talk to them? And somehow the idea of having a person there who writes a food blog and who was talking about food and recipes, I don't know, it just made them curious, and they were like, okay, I want to listen to what she has to say. So have a backup plan, and think of things that you can, like I was saying, that you should have a strong opening for your conversation or for your talk or for your discussion. So put some effort and thought into how you can start your talk. And you need to be able to grab your audience and their attention in the first 2 to 3 minutes of your talk, because if you don't get their attention in that first couple of minutes, then it's very likely that they're not going to follow you. So have a strong opening and a catchy opening for your talk, so that they'll get your attention, and know your audience. That's the first and foremost thing. Like, who are the people? Are they kids, college students, or my peers, people like me, or who are they that I'm going to give the talk to? And do some research and know, and then kind of see what are the kind of things that this group of people will enjoy, or what are the kind of things that this section of people will like, and try to include those in your talks, and that should help. There was one question on pronunciation, because so I had trouble, something like that. So every time I go up and talk, my voice cracks, my voice breaks, or I have to stop and catch my breath. And the easiest way to fix that problem is to speak slowly, right? That's what I learned. Because a lot of times we are nervous, and when we are nervous, we just start talking fast, and that kind of throws us apart. So the first thing that we can try to improve our pronunciation is to speak slowly. And again, it comes back to my point of practicing, because the only way you can get better at talking is by giving talks, right? And again, do not expect perfection every single time. You will get better with time, and you will get better with practice. So before I conclude this, I want to say 2 points. One is, always remember that communication is vital for our existence. So it's really important for us to be able to communicate. And don't expect perfection. Nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes. There's no such thing as a perfect talk. Every talk has some loopholes. And we all get better with time. So keep practicing. And the third thing is, this is the most important thing of all. You have to enjoy yourself when you give a talk. If you don't enjoy it yourself, the audience are not going to enjoy it. So have fun. Be confident, practice your talks, read a lot, and if there are things that you don't understand when you're reading, try to look up and understand what they mean, and have fun with your talks, and they will get better with time. So I hope you all learned something, and if you have any questions, you can continue to type it in the comment section, and I will try to answer them. All right. Thank you.